Radio Diamond, Radio Diamond, Radio Diamond, Radio Diamond on 87.7 FM.
Radio Diamond. Hi, my name's Imani Speaks, and I'm here with the wonderful David Jammers. We're live at Radio Diamond, and I'm going to have a conversation with David about etymology and also about this great book that he's written.
Keep locked on etymology, you know, as it was in the past, it's going to be now. The next revolution is going to be the revolution of the mind. Inside your mind is gold, so have a goal and you will find.
Wow. And I just want to say thank you for watching and listening, and remember to keep learning and growing, as the master here is saying. And remember, you're not here to stand still, you're here to keep moving, you're here to keep growing and evolving. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, you're not the other way around.
Splendid.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to get David, I'm going to ask you just to say a few words about yourself to the people.
I'm not sure if I'm
not
incriminating myself.
How far
really.
do you want? Let's see. Do you want to go back to, say, childhood, or
Just go wherever you
let's
want
go
to
back to childhood. What sort of child were you? Were you into books? Were you?
Well, my first memory of childhood is when it's like I just saw myself staring at myself in the mirror when I was about 2 years old.
Wow.
And then looking around the house, it felt like I've just sort of landed from somewhere else.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I kind of remember, just looking at a mirror and then just looking around the place. Like, that's how I remember how my life started.
Wow,
Yeah.
when you were about 2 years old.
About two, 3 or 4, something like that. Yeah.
Oh my God! Wow.
And I think I was always supposed to be good with words because my parents had to spell like P-A-R-K. They didn't want me to know what.
Oh right, what? Yes.
But then I picked
big
up,
people's talk. Yeah,
but I picked up on the spelling, so I could read it about 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could read it 2. But when I went to school, then I lost it all.
Wow.
And then I think I was at the 11 plus exam as well. I was the top in my year when it came to
Yeah, to do
11
with
plus.
yeah. Mm.
But then and then I always had an interest in books. Yeah, always had an interest in books.
You've written this amazing book here, Decoding Language, yeah? Now, you've not really, you're trying to get out of it. You haven't gone far enough, you said about 2 years old. So what happened, what else do you remember about, being a child and words?
Well, I was always creative, making up different games and, didn't play normal games. Every time I'm the type of person, when you're supposed to do things one way, I always do it the other way.
Yeah.
So I was that kind of person, always argumentative and more so. I was always good at having a good argument,
So you could have been a lawyer or something.
And books, I just had I had an interest in. I think it all started when I was about 13. I think I was at the barber's, and I saw a book on Martin Luther King. His I Had a Dream speech, and I thought, wow! I think, when I saw the book, I thought, what is this? I've never seen nothing like this before. And we had a black bookshop next door to us called Head Start. So after the barbers, I ran over there just to find something on history, and he gave me a book on like Malcolm X autobiography.
Oh wow!
And then there's a.
And you were 13.
Yeah. And then there's another book. It's on the Egyptian. He's one of the founders of the Pan-African movement. I think it's called the Hassan or something. The Hassan. It was a book on Egyptian philosophy.
Right.
And that book kind of really, those 2 books really opened my eyes to. And then I sort of became obsessed with books and reading about books and trying to find out where we come from and then African history. A.J. Rogers, I've got all the series of A.J. Rogers. He talks about like how civilizations started and how the races integrated and changed. He does all that there. Van Sertima, he's about the sciences, talks about the sciences. So I've got like 2,000 plus books. So I always had an interest in books.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Hence ebook. Yeah. So, what was it like? What was it like to become an author and get your book out there?
It wasn't really planned, as I said, because I read books, but I would sort of read a little piece of the book and then have the essence, then on to the next one. So I wasn't completed it and then wrote everything down and remembered it. I didn't really have a good memory, so I always read a book 5 or 6 times. So it's really because of my circumstances where I kind of ended up living in a van for a couple of years, which kind of just gave me a different outlook.
So
when you sort of locked away, then
you
in a closed environment.
You escaped the rat race and all
you get an alternative viewpoint.
Yes.
Plus I had a lot of sort of changes in circumstances where my mum passed away, dad passed away, brother passed away, best friend passed away.
All in the same
all
sort of time?
All of that sort of period of a few years. So my whole life just sort of changed totally, you know. And then it's like all you've got, when you haven't got nothing, then all you've got is your mind. And when you're stuck in that kind of environment, all you've got is your mind in a certain way to get you through that. You know, and then the things that you think are important, then you find they're not important again. You know, and you start to question everything as well.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so then when you start then you go to the extreme of, you really need to try and find out what you need to try and find out your existence and why you're in a specific circumstance, you know. And then, and that's it. And then I think it's one day in particular, it's like maybe run out of money. I just had enough money for because every day was a survival. And then you find out that, and like, you might be here, just barely surviving. Like you see them beggars in the street, and about, say, 12 inches away, there's somebody who's got a wealth. Hold on, so he's so close to and far away, from life and death and success, and being not able to survive, by inches, the difference,
So that, obviously that's so different from what you were used to, and kind of, how did you go from where you were, living out there with everybody else doing everything, to being in that position, and what insights did you get? Because I would imagine that you probably would have seen the world totally different. Yeah,
you see, basically you see it. I think you see it like an animal, really, because it's just about survival. And you're just happy
so your instincts were...
you're just happy to get through the, you wake up and you just want to survive. Well, you just want to see the best way that you can survive through the day. So it's an achievement just to get through the day. So I suppose you appreciate things more, and then you see what the necessity that you need to get through the day is, And then your mind is always thinking at a different rate and seeing things differently, because you're wit, you got your survival wits. But it's really, really, no. And now looking back, it was interesting. At the time, I couldn't say nothing to nobody. You don't want to tell people what you're doing in a certain way. But looking back, it was really really develops you,
So, I assume the days were much longer than normal, being in that situation. So how did you feel your time? How did you feel?
Well, the funny thing is, like, sometimes I remember one time when I ran out of money. And then I couldn't go nowhere because I didn't have no petrol until my money was coming in maybe in another 2 days. So I was 2 days, no petrol, nothing. I was thinking, well, what can I do, But then you think, 1 minute, you've got all the time in the world to do what you want to do. Because you're not restricted, so you've got the time to actually develop yourself. But it happened, it was one particular day when I had enough money to buy cheese or bread and I was trying to work it out.
Radio Diamond on 87.7 FM.
I just started to question, why am I here? Who am I? What am I? How do I exist? What is all this about? And then I started to try to get to the core of it, like saying, well, human, what is a human? It's protons and neutrons. What protons and neutrons do, they revolve. And I was just questioning, what does revolve mean? And then it kind of hit me, revolve. So I said, then what is re? Re means to go back. Volve means to turn. I thought, 1 minute, they never really taught me that in English. Words do in English, I know. So, but then I kind of realised that my words are made up of 2 different sounds to make up the one word. And then revolve. But then they say everything revolves, and revolve means to turn back. So then I had like a CD. I don't know if you do this, but it's like a CD. And if you just look at, and I start to go like this, and you'll see that when it goes backwards, it moves forward. No, sorry, when it turns backwards, actually moving forwards.
Okay.
So a
okay.
car, like a car wheel. The car
Yes,
wheel's
yeah,
going, so you've
yeah.
got to go. Then it clicks. You've got to go back to. You've got to go backwards to go forward. So you've got to look back at yourself to look forward. And when you're actually going forward, you're going backwards. So evolution,
Wow.
like technology, means it's taking your skills away, taking your knowledge
Yes.
away.
Yes.
And the things that you used to be able to do before, you can't do. Like, for instance, driving to Brixton. You could drive to Brixton using your wits and your mouth for communication, but now you use a snap nav. So the machine is doing the actions that you used to do.
Yes. Yeah.
And you used to be able to think, you used to be able to know your numbers. You know, now the phone is taking that away, you know, and the computer, so your ability to think, the more technology is increasing, the less using your abilities. You know, and then I found it was like in the sound of the word, like economy, econ money, you know,
Oh my
politician,
God,
pull
yes.
right trick. So when it slowed down the sound,
Wow,
it kind of it's telling you there's a different meaning. And then I clicked that when you reverse the sound now, you can get the opposite or a different. And when you reverse the polarities of the words, so like for instance, bust or bust out is over. When you turn BUS back, you get sub, which is under, subway, submerge.
Right. Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And tip, which is the top of something, TIP. You reverse that, you get PIT. And the thing is, because we're not used to thinking like that, you know, even when I've told lectures and stuff, it's really hard for people to turn the letters the other
turn
way
it
around.
back. Yes.
Yeah. You know, so then I worked out there's a connection between the sound and the action. When you reverse the sound, the action reverses. So then my brain just started to look at words totally different.
Yeah.
It's like it just rained down words when I was in the car, and that it just cleared like that. It felt like words were raining down on me, and every single word I was questioning.
Wow.
And it's like an awareness came over me, and then when I walked out the car, it's like everything was moving in slow motion. And then I realised that you get an aspect of who you are in relation to everything else. When I was walking the city, I realised that nobody could really see me. The only person that could see me were like children, old people, or the security guard. Like
That's interesting. Explain that, because that's kind of...
Well, if you walk on the street, basically, you'll see how really alone you are if you really see your surroundings. It's just like your stars passing each other. There's people you're passing, you're never going to see them again in your lifetime.
That's true. Yeah.
They're lost in their thoughts. You know, they don't see. And sometimes even if you really listen, it's like it's total quiet. You know, everything's totally quiet. You know, so. You fall down, you see people walk past, and then you kind of get a really essence of, you think you're surrounded by a lot of people, but in the reality, there's only a certain recognition about certain people that still actually see.
So you're moving around lots of people that you could literally be alone because they're not even noticing.
That's right, you're not even noticing. It kind of gives you like a different sense of perspective. Then, you know.
So it's almost as though you kind of went into another realm almost.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. And then as well, that's what from then, that day, I've never accepted any word on the strength of the word. And then I realised a bit later on down the line that when it came to ancient Kemet, when they wrote the hieroglyphics, it was from right to left to right, up and down. You know, and basically that makes you use your maybe 360 degrees of your mind.
Wow.
When you're looking at, your brain is looking right to left. So it's actually deciphering the language, whereas now we just talk the one way of looking at something. And it is just one way of looking at something. It's one perspective, one viewpoint, you know, one solution to one problem, to the one objective that you're given in that one way, in that one circumstance. So.
Because I noticed your book is written in a certain, you know, you've written some of the, is that done on purpose? Is that
yeah,
done?
that's a style of writing where you can turn the word upside down and you get the same. If you turn that book upside down, you see the title's still the same. You told me. So it's a style of writing. So I've researched into different, like, it took me a journey to linguistics.
Radio Diamond 87.7 FM.
This is just an example of how.
Have you got it. Can you demonstrate that in some way?
Well, if you just look at the word like the word letter.
Letter.
Or say the word let.
Let.
You see elite. You focus on elite. Actually, maybe not. For instance, the word. for instance, rerun, we'd say R-E-R-U-N. We don't focus on the, so because you're focused on the letters, you don't hear the sound of rerun. You don't hear that there's two sounds that make up the one
So
word.
we just say rerun like that.
Yeah, we just say rerun. We don't hear the sounds in the word. We just see a bundle of letters.
So you're saying everything you do now, you think about the whole.
Yeah, and that's basically when you're aware of things. That's what we do anyway. Because basically, when you eat food, you want to know the ingredients. You want to know who the cook is.
Yes.
You want to know, is this place a clean place? You know what I mean? And the person smells dirty. What kind of service you get? You know, when you buy your clothes, you want to know, is it designer goods, is it a copy, is it stitching right, does this look good on me? Let me get some friends around, let me try it now, let me go to another shop first and try a couple around. You know what I'm saying? When you're buying a car, you want to know if the engine's right, or you know, you want to see the history, the service history.
Yes.
Is it a stolen car? But when it comes to words, you know, we've just taken these words on board without checking the history, is there a plan behind it, are these words beneficial, where do these words come from? You know, why are we using these particular words? How have these words been put together in this way? So we don't. The thing that we generate, because when we live a life, your life is just words going around in your head. You know? And the thing that runs our life, which is these words that we've been given to use, we're not verifying them, checking them. We're just taking them on board without even seeing if there's any implications behind it.
So, wow. So people are in a trance by the words that they're using, and they don't know.
Well, the thing is, if I just gave you car keys instead of drive, or if I just gave you clothes instead of wear, if I just gave you food instead of eating, then you are different. You're not in a limbo. You're not really aware of what's going on. So the same thing. If I just gave you a bunch of symbols to use and said this means that, and you're just using them, you're actually putting your brain to sleep.
So when we just send children to school and they learn the ABC and all the rest of it, they're not really. They're all they're doing is memorising. They're not really.
Yeah, they're just forcing themselves to put these symbols in their head without questioning what these symbols do, and following the instructions they've been told that these symbols are, without allowing them to question, because our brain is automatically questioned.
Yes.
But we don't let our brain do its proper function, which is question. If you just see a correct, the first thing you say is why, and then sooner or later we get fed up and say, oh, go and ask your dad, or go to school, so we shut it down. You know, and the only way you can become wise is asking a lot of
wise. Yeah, love that.
And then quest is a journey. When you're on a quest, you're on a journey.
Exactly.
So when you quest beyond something, it's the quest that you're on. So it's the journey that you're on. You see, so if you don't get the proper answers, then you just shut down and you become it's like trance, like, you know.
So, looking at your words more thoroughly and thinking about them.
And basically, it's the sound, because every animal makes a sound. You know, when you hear like bzz or s, you know what the animal is, and you automatically react based on the sound. You hear a lion bang, you react to the sound. But when you train yourself not to hear the sound, you know, then you will not act to the sound. And if somebody says they love you by the tone of the voice, if you're perceptive, and if you're around that person long enough, you'll be able to tell what they really mean by the tone. You see.
No, my brain always feels expanded when I speak to you on this. Yeah. Wow. So, so the book. So you brought to us this great book, and you know, how did this come about?
Well, as I said, one day I'm just normal me, quiet, not saying nothing, shy, retired, not saying nothing. And people knew that I knew a lot about certain things, but I couldn't put it together like what I was doing. And when I started talking all of this talk, and people just said, you should write this down, you should write it down, write it down. Right. So I just had a lot of notes, and my little scraps of paper became piles of paper, and notebooks became notes on notes on notes. You know, and then said you should record it, so then I started doing it. Then start doing recordings, and then just one day I decided I'm going to put a book. Cause I always used to be good at putting things together as well, like football. I used to run the football team, and I used to do the match reports. And I was always for some reason I was able to string all these long humorous things together. Yeah, so then I've done a book. Like my first book was like controversial, really controversial before that.
Really?
Yeah, so I
What was that about?
I had to ban my own book in a way.
Really?
Yeah, because I went by my instinct.
What was
But
it about?
well, it's like two most
Radio
controversial
87.7
words. It's basically my friend had a
FM.
bookshop, and I noticed and it's next to a bookie shop. So I noticed most people are more in the bookie shop than in the bookshop.
Right, yeah.
You know, so yeah. So you know, my first book that I wrote is called the Nigger's Bible. Yeah, so yeah, because basically as well, because I've got a problem with words. So if someone says a word to me, I need to know, why did that person say the word? What is it about this word? Why you've used that word in that particular phrase?
Yes, yeah.
So that terminology has been a big issue and traumatized us as a race of people. The NIG, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So I was sort of obsessed to find out what is really behind this word, blah blah blah. You know, and I kind of knew a bit about marketing, so I know if I put that next to whatever with the religious side, I didn't want to touch the religion side because it's enough taking that one. So I put them two words together and done that book. But it's humorous. It's a humorous book with sense inside the nonsense, what it looked like. So, but when but then what it was as well, I didn't want to. Because it's the first time I'd done a book, and I was kind of the information I was putting out there. You know, I was thinking, boy, when my life is going to probably be at risk. So I done it like kind of anonymous. I done it anonymous. I've done the book. But I kind of, when I done that book, I thought, you know what, if you do a book like this, that's it, right? You know, you could go at any time.
People were
So
going
I done the book, but then, and it kind of really caused a lot of controversy when it came out, you know. But as well, when I done that book, I did as well, because I did what I could do, like spinning the words around close to me, so I didn't actually put that in. I put it in the book, but without putting it in the book.
Yes.
So I was spinning the words around, but not telling
anybody
how the form of what I was doing. So I thought I was giving people like the food, but not the full ammunition behind it. So they got the essence of what I was saying, but they wasn't able to explain it. So if somebody having that book now was attacked with it, they would know what I was doing. They would defend it. So I thought, even though the book was okay, I thought it wasn't putting people, and maybe like women reading it on a train.
Okay,
so it couldn't be open themselves to being attacked, you know what I mean? Or it could have the reverse effect as well in it. And then when my tweets started going around the school saying, "Now, Daddy's done a book, Nigger's Bible." And then in America, then I started getting hits on the site from like Australia, New Zealand, all these different places like Germany, getting all these hits on because they had a stat count put on it.
Yes.
And then what happened? I found it was on like one of those Clue Fluxland websites. They had a video of me on there.
What?
Yeah. They was laughing out loud, but they had a video, and then I was getting all the hits from them on it. So I was getting more interest from the other side than than my people, and I was getting a fight from my people and interest from the other side. So it was just like, I said, wow. I said, this, you know what, I think I need to. So I just decided to ban it, myself.
Wow.
So. So then I thought, you know what, then I kind of brought this one out with like what I do, the words more, to empower
people more,
and they're more receptive to this. But I'm still getting a lot of interest for the first and what's on the body.
Is that still out there?
I'm gonna still have to bring it. I'm probably gonna bring it back. When I get a bit more courage together, I'll bring it back.
So have you still got it? Have you still got the website around it?
Yes, I have. Well, I think I've got the website still. I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure, but it probably will be back out soon.
Okay.
It will be back out sometime.
Radio Diamond on 87.7 FM.
I'm doing 2 books on etymology.
Wow.
Yeah, one's like a root word, like a dictionary. That's what's kind of inspired me, because I've seen etymology. There's quite a few good etymology things online, and a couple of good DVDs, but I felt that there was a gap in what they were doing, because I really liked the presentations that were done by 2 individuals particularly, but I felt there was a gap. And the thing about etymology is it can go into so much different subjects like astrology and history and archaeology. So it's such a wide area, but I wanted to focus just on the words, so that's where my twist is on that. You know,
So you're taking one aspect and really going into it.
Yeah. And impart it. And as well, another thing about it, it's not really something that you see really taught as a skill unless you go into like the universities. You know, a language is based on words and etymology, history. How can you be using a car and you don't know the history of the car you're driving?
Yeah.
You know, so I found it's not, and it's like as well, there's certain gaps in the teachings as well. That it's just supporting one side, but it's not giving you the full aspect.
So this is like opening up your brain and really using both sides, not just blindly just going along using these words.
And another thing is as well, because I believe that you can put things into practice by the power of your sounds that you make. And another side is me as well putting into practice what I'm theorising about, which is
Radio Diamond on 87.7 FM.
So part of that was to put it into practice by producing the books. So I produce the books and then I produce the speakers club as well.
I'm going to talk to you about speakers.
Yeah, speaker, and Talking Academy, which is the training aspect of the speakers club. And plus then I've been invited to write this book on I'm doing the etymology of love, which is not really my particular topic, but it's causing controversy as well. I've been running away from controversy from my first book now. It looks like it's coming back again.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your part in the redefining
relationships,
and
but
how
the brother
you're going to use etymology?
Yeah, he's putting together a book, redefining relationships, how to find a perfect.
How to find a good black man or a good
black woman.
Is it? Yeah, and a good black man,
so
woman. Yeah.
I've been brought in to break down the word love and romance.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
As long as it's not going to incriminate myself.
There is around with a baseball bat.
Yeah, basically it's just looking at
What's wrong with the word romance for that? Because you know
Radio
ladies have
Diamond
that.
on 87.7 FM.
There's nothing wrong with these words, but you just have to look with the context that they created and the use that were used in and what they're being used in now. Because basically the word love and romance was basically it was in the gentry at the time.
The word love.
Yeah, it was like stories that they told amongst each other.
Do you think people want that, or do you think people use it as a sort of, it's a fantasy that they?
No, I think people want that because they're growing up to be shown that this is
Radio Diamond on 87.7
what success is. This is what fear is. This is what love is. So we're given these definitions to follow, and so that we expect more of the partners have it than us ourselves.
So we're looking for something that we don't think we need to, that wants it from somebody else.
Yeah, what would be shown from birth, that this is what makes a good successful relationship. We're given these definitions, and then the funny thing is, a lot of people who have got it, have got the wealth and the glamour, just look at the papers. They're the most unhappy.
Radio Diamond on 87.7
concepts is about. Is there another way behind it, or?
For young people, do you think young people particularly are vulnerable to wanting this, this love that is impossible to find?
Yeah, well, I think with young people now, there's no love and romance and glamour now. It's just about.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's just about money, as many women or men you can sleep with. And,
really? So
it's not really. It's kind of the marriage.
So what you're saying is both ways. You're saying the women as well as the men. Everybody.
Yeah, because another thing is, I think, because we've been trying to make this fantasy a reality unsuccessfully, and then people have got been traumatized by these unsuccessful relationships in such a way that they're not motivated. Especially now, there's so much broken families.
Yeah.
They don't even have an example of a role to follow. So now they just fought, and another thing is there's no authoritative real figure in family, mother and father. It's a rarity in a certain way. So now the authorities is now what you see on the social media. That's the new, they're the new gods and goddesses who to aspire to be.
And
the Kim
Radio
Kardashians,
Diamond 187.7
the young people now, social media's got more input in their lives than their actual living, breathing parents. You know, so this is the whole society now is following this media-based, whatever's in fashion.
Do you think that's love? Do you think that's love to be doing what they're doing? Do you think that's what people think? Or do you
Well,
think
the thing is,
just,
that's where you have to go.
or they just discard
Well,
it?
you have to go what love is, you see, because when you have to find out the definition of love.
What would you say love is?
It's as I said, it's all based on fantasy. It's all based on what you input behind somebody's character. It's like the mystery. You know, it's boring to know that this person does a 9 to 5. You like the mystery of suspense. Is it? You know, is he got a criminal record? Or maybe not criminal record. you imagine this person's power, this person's wealth. This person can deal with himself in any situation. The attractiveness is the imaginary perception that you put to the person, and sometimes the proof that you use on your perception might not be reality. Like just you might go by the person's haircut or the person's shoes or the way the person walks. Your imagination, which is this love concept or fantasy concept, adds the extra ingredients on the cake. So it actually makes a false. That's the attractiveness is what is false.
So do you think most people come together in the honeymoon stage or the infatuation stage, and they don't actually wait to see what love is really, which is?
Well, I think that's why people come together in the infatuation stage, and then in some cases
build on that.
Reality hits home. Like,
Radio Diamond 187.
it snaps you out of it snaps you into the reality stage, and then they may break up.
Okay.
But sometimes the fantasy, because you want so much this fantasy to work, you'll override the bad breath. I made a big brush, or the mannerisms, you know what I mean? Or the drinking, that's part of it. So you override, your fantasy overrides the reality, and then you come together in that fantasy. So it's what is.
So you think people just
real.
settle?
So sometimes they can't really. Sometimes they can't get what they want, so they take second best. So imagine what second best is, or the hope that they can turn. Especially, I think with women, the hope that they've got the power to change this person into the person. Then once they've changed that person, become bored because it's no longer the fantasy. You know every part of this person. You know? So the fantasy's gone. You know. So it's that whole mind concept. You know. And when you look at the past before this concept came up, you know, it wasn't like that. The royal family don't do like that. It was arranged. You know, things were arranged.
This is what I was saying. We're sort of getting together.
Radio Diamond on 87.7 FM.
Before there was things like character. What kind of character did this person have in relation to creating your future? Because people are looking at their future.
Do you think we should go back to that? Is that what people should do? Do you think that's the way to go? Arranged.
Well, I think that's what they're doing now anyway. With the social media, all of these new social media sites, it's all about arranging, getting all the information.
You mean like dating sites?
Now the dating's changed. Now it's not. You don't really meet somebody in the street now. You go on your phone and blah blah blah, and you hook up through one of them social media sites. You know, so it's kind of going like that, but in the wrong way, because it's going like that, but you're not looking for what you were looking for in the past. You're still looking for a quick fix.
Wow.
Whereas before it was like, as I said, you trust. You know, is this person generous? Person got a warm heart. Person, you know, integrity. You know, and then your stock that you're going to produce. You know, because as well, we were scientists. We are scientists in them days. I mean, that things are heredity in your genes. You know, so to produce a good future, you want someone who's intelligent. So you need a partner who's intelligent. Your partner's got integrity. So it was future planning. It wasn't just
Radio Diamond on 87.7 FM.
It wasn't just it wasn't future planning. They were doing, and plus it was families on families. That we know these families are or their families are a family of vagabonds. So your parents would be involved and negotiate. You know, in that aspect. You know, and that's what they still do in the royal family. Look at the royal family.
They don't just get anybody.
They don't go outside of their stock. They stay in their stock, and they're the ones that are keeping the long-term relationships in a certain way. You don't hear the scandals. What you hear
in the
normal world. So the world is where everything's spinning beyond your control.
People are just caught up in the spin.
Yeah. So that's kind of thing. And I suppose as well in this romance thing, it's kind of as well. It's like the men way of sort of.
I like your take on flowers and diamonds.
Yeah,
come on, no, you're all going to be on camera.
87.
Yeah, no, it's all right what doing on the radio, but now that's why I'm making sure I've got my back to this camera. Yeah. Well, basically, as well keeping the woman in her place in the certain way. This romance, because the man was the superior, the woman stayed at home and got the dead plant and the stone.
He's talking about flowers.
If I was a man, I said, what's the best way to get my woman hooked, you know? And they say, yeah, the cheapest way really as well. Dead plant, you know,
and you said a piece of what? Oh yes, sweets, the chocolate, yeah.
And
the stone.
And then some grapes, you know.
Yeah, but surely if you brought a dead plant,
well, I'm not going to say. I'm going to use a romantic term, you know, an orchid or something like that. Rose, petal.
But the woman likes that though, isn't she?
I know, because she's been trained.
So it's because she's been trained. If she was out of this, she would not want those things.
Would you really want a dead plant? If I called it a dead plant?
Not if you called it a dead plant. So
it's the same thing. Like just because instead of flowers, I said, "There's some dead plants for you."
I would say, no thanks.
So that's the cheapest way to get the woman hooked in a certain way. So, you know, on keeping her around me. Well, it's not that I'm doing it, but I'm just saying.
You say that's what people do.
I'm just saying this is what. To me, it's always been a subjugation of women.
What would you say is a realistic way of doing it, and how can you keep that romantic vibe still going?
That's the problem.
The dead plants and
that's the problem.
The dead rocks and things.
With me even doing this book, you shouldn't really have me doing this book.
You think that's going to?
Because, as I said,
you think that's going to take away the?
No, as I said, for me, romance comes from the Romans. Why am I taking a new European concept to try to live my life? You know, a fantasy in it that way. So why do you want to keep this fantasy? One thing though, in our parents used to be successful because there's a financial aspect that kept our parents together,
yeah.
and the circumstance and the necessity of bringing up a family where there was no outside distractions as well. So where we pulled our resources together. So there was a kind of workable formula. But when you really check, the workable formula wasn't really the romance. It was the social dynamics of two people living together, fighting against the outside world, trying to raise a family, and the only way they could survive is by pooling their wealth together. So there was like a social dynamic that kept us in this married situation. But now, the more women are becoming independent, they don't need it, and the men maybe are not.
Do you think men don't feel as needed as they did back then?
It's not even that, because I don't think the men really needed to feel needed as long as they had the woman under control.
Really?
In a certain way. It's more like.
So you think it's more about the
men? Now the women are now becoming more independent of the men. This is where the social dynamics of this romance. Because the whole romance situation is the strong man in shining armour, what the woman just falls down and gives her life to, you know, puts a piece of metal around her, makes this vow, you know, till death. You know, and the word marriage as well, as well, it's linked with war, like God of War, and it's linked with death as well.
Oh my God.
It's linked with death as well. So an age means a drive towards something. So it's a drive towards death. So you know, so come what may, you're gonna stay with this person till death do you part, as you say in the vow. You know, so once you've got that person with the ring on their finger,
that's the bondage.
Yeah. So, but it was based because it was a male-dominated society in the past. So it was based in the man's favour, in a certain way.
Yeah, because it's like with slavery, you take on the master's name, and in marriage, the woman takes on the man's name. So there is a similar in ownership, really.
It is ownership, but also there was still the power of the woman was still necessary to keep going, or to keep the relationship in a certain way. You still needed the qualities of the woman. It's like it was only but you didn't want the woman to be independent, but that's going too far. You know, so the quality, the woman was still recognised in a certain way. But as I said, it was more of a male orientated structure that's been set in place. So that's why when you say love and this book, you know, it's something that I'm kind of not really.
You're not feeling it at all.
Yeah, so I don't know why I don't know why I'm in, but
I suppose
it's just to give a different perspective,
yeah, exactly.
you know.
To give a more
a different way of looking at things. You know, as I said, with the words, why are we following what somebody else has given us to use without checking it? We don't wear clothes like that. You know, why do we take on words like that? You know, and all we're seeing is examples of this how unsuccessful this formula is. You know, so come up with a different formula, you know, or try to go back in the past or find another way of doing it. You know, because I can remember successful families.
Radio Diamond on 87.7
progressing these days, it's not even. It's a shock really that you can almost collapse when you find someone's got married. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know. And another thing as well, the problem is it's addictive. It's like a drug. Because the mystery, suspense, the romance, the big car, it's like that's a more interesting than what this person is really about. It's like what a person really is. It's like boring now. So, I mean, it's boring. You know?
So what it is that you're saying, it starts off exciting and declines the way people do relationships.
Sometimes it doesn't. It's like people's got this fantasy in their head. So it's like they don't want to see the reality, or they're aspiring to the fantasy, even if the person, you know, is a woman beater or something. Because of the fantasy, you stay in that relationship. Because the guy's got a big car and, you know, he's got that way about him. So you're not breaking away from that because you're hooked on the fantasy. So the reality, you're also you're taking on the bad side as well.
So like an addiction.
It's an addiction of the mind. You know, because all romance is like fantasy. It's addictive of the mind. Mystery, suspense, intrigue is to keep your mind hooked onto something.
Brother Jammers, what would you want people to get out of like your chapter? What would you like people?
Well, as long as they don't come looking for me, that's fine.
they may come looking for you.
Just another way of looking at things. That's all I'm about.
Do you want them to be more awake in their choices? And
I want people to have another choice. They might like this concept of romance. Well, people do like the concept of romance, you know. Especially Valentine's Day. It's a quick way to keep your girl quiet for the year. Buy a couple of roses and stuff like that. Cool. You know. So people might like. But I'm just saying it's another way of looking at things. You know, because it's good to have other options. You know. And I think just like as I said, the black and white, you know, TV. Let's have something different. You know. Let's create another way of doing things. You know what I mean? A different format. You know.
And will you give us an example of that way forward, or will you just leave it open for people to find their own individual?
Yeah, well, I suppose I've been told that I've got to put a solution, so I've got to put a section of.
Have you got the solution?
I haven't got that far yet. You know? I'm just getting up the courage to do this part, you know.
Okay.
Make sure I've got my passport and everything, change of identity.
Just in case,
you
yeah.
know? So, yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm glad to be involved in the project, and it should be awesome.
Me too.
Yeah, that's that really.
Talk to us about the Speakers Club.
Right, that's another thing is because nowadays the way modern society,
you
don't really have to talk. You know? You're on social media, we're on the TV listening to the expert, or we've got a magazine reading about the expert. You know, and we don't actually speak, or we don't even have a platform where we can be the expert. What's really on our mind? What's on your mind? What have you got to say about a situation? So, as I say, as the technology advances, we're declining in our personal and spiritual aspects. So the Speakers Club is providing a forum where it's all about the audience. What the audience got to say is encourage people to speak in their own manner and give them encouragement that they are capable of speaking. We're born to speak, but society gives us the view that you have to speak in a certain way, otherwise you're not qualified to speak up. You know, so the Speakers Club is trying to break that mold. Another thing is we can all speak in our boxes, but when you go into another environment, you have to learn a different way of communicating. And it's also celebrating our differences, coming together with our differences. You know, which is what we do when we go to work 9 to 5, or when we buy our Adidas, or when we buy our clothes. We separate our differences. But when we come together, all of a sudden, I've got a problem with your haircut or the way you're dressing. No, I ain't got a problem. You will have a problem with mine, you see.
Not at all.
So I say, let's forget our differences, do the work, and then argue afterwards. That's what a Speakers Club is. Yeah.
I've seen a couple of those, and they're really, really good.
So it's involved. It's constantly, we're getting good response, and it's always involving, you know, we've got a lot of good individuals who've a lot of radio, like, for instance, we've got from South London, we've got Dr. Abu Ratata from Galaxy FM, and he's really using like 200% to get this off the ground. We've got, but I've got
what sort of topics do you, Brother Ducky,
yeah, Buzzy B, you know, behind the scenes we've got Theo, the evaluator, so we've got a lot of people who's kind of put in 110%.
Radio Diamond on 87.7
I think the topic's a bit more interesting now. Because before we started off with the general like romance and finance and leadership, now we do like self-hate. I think like
self-hate.
Self-hate. Yeah, what is self-hate?
Oh.
Yeah. And the last topic we done was betrayal, trust, betrayal, and loyalty. We also have actors acting out the scene as well.
I've seen that. I was really impressed with that.
So we've got actors, and we're getting some young actors in now, which is great because we get the younger viewpoint in as well, the future generation involved in it as well. So and then everybody in the audience as well, you're given a minute to speak. So if you've got a view to say, we've got a clock that counts down a minute. Because another thing is the time, especially if you go to a bank, that's what I find. The people are chatting for ages, you know what I mean, and they're still not getting their point across. So part of the Speakers Club is like planning you to get your point across in a minute.
So you're teaching people how to be more concise and not go all round the houses.
Yeah, and then the other aspect is then I've created this talking academy where from the Speakers Club they might see where they might want to improve speaking skills, so they can come to the Talking Academy, and the Talking Academy is where we give lessons on speaking, presentation, confidence, interviewing skills, thinking skills, reasoning skills, big etymology stuff as well. So this is where we do that, and plus anybody who's interested or who's got skills, they can come with us and help with this movement.
Where do you because all these ideas and making them happen, where are you getting, first of all the energy, getting these amazing ideas, and just being able to bring them into being? What drives you, in other words?
Question, that one, really, but the idea came in a second. All of that Speakers Club Talking Academy. I've got a higher branch. Well, I've got some good guys behind me, behind the scenes who are helping this come to fruition. He's really
very quiet over there,
I've got some good guys behind the scenes who make ideas a reality. And finishers as well, because a lot of us, especially when you're creative, there's no finish to what you're doing, but so I'm lucky I've got some good guys around who are finishers, and one guy in particular who likes to remain nameless, so
you're not going to say his name,
Atlantis everywhere, because he puts the concept and actually finishes the concept, so that's what really kind of is the key, and plus as a wizard when it comes to social internet as well, so putting all of that stuff together as well, and production. So I'm really blessed to have, I don't like saying we're blessed, in bliss. Be less, be more. So I'm more into having that behind the scenes, making the dreams a reality. The energy as well, what it is, when you start to use your own thoughts, you create your own reality. And when you forget about letters and words and put feelings into things, that becomes a magnet as well.
That is really powerful. Please say that all again.
When you generate your own, especially if you look at a child, when you've got that inquisitive nature, you want to know what things are, and you're not accepting what people are telling you.
Not at all.
You've got an energy that wants you to find out what this thing is about. You ask the wise to become wise, and you're not satisfied until you've got that feeling that you've got the right answer. You see the word eyes, you see the word yes in it. When you see things with both your eyes, you come to your yes point. You see what I'm saying? And basically it's how the feeling, because this is what they've taken out from us, the feeling is what creates. So basically, if you say I'm going to go running tomorrow, by the way you said it, it's not happening.
Can I say something?
If you said that person that broke in my car, when I see them I'm going to do them something, that's happening. You predicted the future by the feeling that you put into what you said.
So true.
It's not present, it's pre-sent. What you pre-sent.
So you sent it.
You've already sent that out by the feeling that you put into it. And it's not a straightforward way of getting that feeling. It's not a feeling that you think if but or maybe. It's a feeling that has to happen, come what may. It's going to happen. So this feeling is not, that's another thing. You have to, it's not a straightforward feeling. You have to feel this 210% and put that into the word for it to become a reality. And it's not a hard thing, because if you look how societies run, they can tell you when a new movie's coming out, when the latest phone's coming out, when the next exploration to space is coming. They'll tell you the exact, when the trains are coming, to the exact time. So they're actually forecasting already what is going to happen, manifested by their feeling. We're the only ones who are not doing this, you see, and we're the ones with the most feeling. So when you come to music, we use feeling. We don't have to learn it by learning coordinated.
So what you're saying, we should use that gift?
Well, this is what's being through the system that we're learning, through the education system being taught. Taught comes from the Greek automatic. We're not, and when you do things the right way, right is doing something by thought, not feeling. You do right but not left. If we look at what we've left behind inside the word left, you see the word felt.
God.
Felt, we had feelings, so we've got to stop doing things the right way, which is based on thoughts. We've got to do things the left way, is what we've left behind, which is what our feeling, what we felt. And when you put that feeling into action, the reality becomes a manifestation. You know, don't get sentenced by the sentence, because the sentence is designed to make you tense. A tense is a feeling when you're not, when your hands is tense, you haven't got the freedom of doing what you want to do. Don't get ruled by the pen, because the pen is a holding device. It holds the ink that makes you think. Inside the word think is the word ink. So when you write the sentences, you're sentenced by the ink that you think, by the pen. You've got to come outside the box and excel. X means leave the cell that can be put into.
Wow.
So
it's like a rat, you do like
it. That's what happened as well. This is not, because people say you play with, but this is like a side effect of what happened, because I started to see the similar, like every time you see the word pen, it's penalty, or pending, or pendant. So then I started to see the sound in the words was similar. So then when I started to talk, it became more rhythmical, you know, and it just, and then my talking speeded up as well, you know, because I see words back to front and side as well. So it just, yeah, it's just another side effect of it.
Wow. David,
it just shows what we can do.
This has been an amazing, amazing conversation with you.
Thanks. And you just said amaze, so when you're in a maze, it kind of is something that you can't, you kind of gives you.
It's been exhilarating.
No, that's what I've got. Amazing is called still, but I say it's in the
okay.
sound, yeah. Well, thank you for having me down here, and I'm sure I'm going to be back sooner rather than later.
I'm looking forward to that, definitely.